am good. Welcome everybody to Speak Up Monday. I'm going to loosen the button on my, there you go. Oh, should have said it on camera, right? So episode number 490, Diamond Dice cracking up. So, as you know, the first Monday of every month is Speak Up Monday. Now, Health Hub Bali is a special episode, the first Monday of every month is what I meant to say. So tonight is episode 43. In our Speak Up Monday, curated by Health Hub Bali series. Now, Future of Health, curated by Health Hub Bali, as I mentioned. Now, tonight is all about let's talk men's vitality and biohacking from within. So, men's vitality and biohacking from within. So, I'm going to, in a minute, introduce our two wonderful guests for tonight. So, I think I'll start with the key takeaways, though. So, what vitality really means for men, why it matters now more than ever, the problem and what it costs, how to reclaim your energy, vitality, and what changes when you do. And final takeaway, there'll be a lot more than 6, but what does Bali have to offer male health? Now, we have our brother Tiaga over here, and I'm going to ask him to fill in some gaps in a minute, but a masculine mentor and guide in life force mastery for men to activate their inner fire and reclaim their vitality, confidence, and presence by transmuting the male energy into power and clarity. Next up, sitting next to me, that you will recognize for many weeks, being in the audience for the last Lord knows how many episodes. So Carol, now a French-born author, poet, storyteller, and emotional growth coach for men. She helps millennial men face identity, love, and masculinity with courage to find meaning, freedom, and connection. Now, people often wonder why I write about myself, because I sometimes forget. But Robert Ian Bonnick, in case you've wondered, in case I have forgotten, so an international speaker, author, advisor, tourism architect, and founder of Speak Up Monday, Destination Indonesia, RIB and Associates, which is part of Career Life Group, and integration strategist, Gateway to Indonesia, and we're recognized, endorsed by Forbes Business Council, Founder Institute, Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy of Indonesia, major Bali stakeholders, and known as the #1 Bali change maker. And then finally, the reason why we're all here, Health Hub Bali, the platform connecting you to better health. For over a decade now, HHB has been at the forefront of Bali health tourism and supported significant numbers of people, from patients, practitioners, hospitals, government institutions, like the wind, just at that perfect time, and continues, thank you, to develop the dynamic ecosystem and innovative health programs through their network of excellence. Please, another round of applause for our guest and that intro. Mamma mia, goodness. I'm going to put this away because it has no more relevance to us. So look, you know, many of us here in Bali, and as we heard from many of you before, have either been part of a men's group. I held 2 men's groups for about 5 years, right? Before that, a mastermind of men in the UK. So I have a little bit of knowledge about it. And, you know, one thing which is affecting all men is mental health. And one of the reasons why Speak Up Monday, this is episode number 490, came into being was because 3 men, incredibly successful in Sydney, these guys were co-collaborators in the hospitality industry in Sydney. 3 of them looked good, smelled good, had the right job, the beautiful wife, some had kids. In 1 year, all 3 committed suicide. And no one saw it coming, right? So one of the main reasons why Speak Up Monday is called Speak Up Monday is because Monday is the most critical day for heart attacks. Between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. is the most instance of heart attacks in the world. Number 2 is that Monday is one of the most common days for suicide in the world. So Speak Up Monday is a deliberate intention, a stone of positive intention into a pond of still water of positive ripples that affect us all. So this is why Speak Up Monday is called Speak Up Monday, not Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, or Sunday, and why it was a terrible business decision because you're limited to one day, but there's incredible importance and intention behind that one day. So, whew. What I love about you, my brother Tiaga, who I don't even know, but I'm happy that Tracy and Health at Bali have brought us together on this episode, is that, one thing that I notice about you, that you all notice, is an incredible poise. Correct or correct? Say yes. Say yes. See. Yeah, see. Thank you. Right? An incredible poise, right? A beautiful smile, of course. But, you've been working with men for a very long time, and, but the question I want to ask you isn't where you'd normally start. The question I ask you is that this poise that I see in you, and I don't even know you, but I feel it, where does this poise come from? Probably in the context of how you became doing what you do now with men.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I think that comes from embodiment and presence. What you just shared about these men, which is, it touches me very deeply because I was on the verge of that too. And 7 years ago when my journey started, I was completely disconnected from myself. And I was a creative director in Dubai, making a lot of money, and reached the point what I always thought I wanted to be when I reached 30. A good job, good salary, money, and I was just pursuing that. And from the outside, everything looked perfect and beautiful, but I was as far as I could be from myself. And that breach of disconnection with my truth and my essence, when you will see me back then, I look 10 years older. I was completely stressed, in friction, so my vitality wasn't running through my body. My skin was quite deaf.
Can I ask you to bring the microphone much closer to you? Thank you, brother.
I was lacking vitality fully from the friction that I was carrying and the disconnection that I was having from my essence. So since 7 years ago that I've been in this path, and 5 years ago living in Bali, it's been a sacred pause of coming back to myself and reclaiming to myself. And that's where I share. The true biohacking comes from within, and that has been my journey of coming back to myself. And it really comes with the price of vitality. The more connected you're with yourself, the more peace and connection and attunement and presence, and that will show in your radiance, in your magnetism, and then it becomes prosperity, and it becomes all the good things that we're going after.
One of the things about this Health Hub Bali episode, first Monday of every month, is we can sit here and talk, which is great. It's part of healing, right? And also what's really important is that people who have made an effort to come also can leave with something in which they can try it on for size and have some kind of impact or result in a forward direction of travel. So you mentioned about embodiment as the first critical word that you used, which I love, right? So are there any, and I'll use the word hacks because I think you spoke about hacks before, are there any hacks or any processes that you found with men and women, or let's talk about men, that helps them to embody practices? What would you say?
Feeling yourself, like embodiment, coming back to your body. Stop running away from your emotions. Stop running away from your pain. Stop running away from yourself. And that's the door to come back to ourselves. And vitality, it all comes back to our genitals, because that's where our main leak is. And that's where my leak was. For 30 years, my completely disconnected and completely leaking my energy through unconscious sexuality, and in that loop. And I had no idea. I just thought I was a sexy Latino Colombian man, and everyone celebrated me because I would bring the stories next day. But the truth behind was a completely disempowered man. With no sovereignty, with no life force, with no vitality. So the moment I was actually pushed to sit in the yoga mat, to be honest, because I lost everything. And I had two exits, or kill myself or go within. And that's what I did. I closed my eyes, I sit without having anything, losing my marriage, losing my job, losing completely everything. And sitting back in the mat and closing my eyes. And I did a practice, and that practice showed me the light. And that's what I started pursuing since 7 years ago, which was the light back to myself. So embodiment comes with going within, feeling yourself. Transmute, bringing the light to all the parts of you that you have buried with shame and rejection and everything. I was a boy that was bullied. I suffered sexual abuse. I was very completely disconnected from myself. And all that was the disconnection and the separation from myself. But the journey of coming back to myself was going to every part of that and feeling again every part of that. And we could say, on my experience, that is reclaiming your vitality. Because while you're carrying all that within you, you're sick. And that's going to kill you.
You know, when you're seeing men, right, in the world, maybe they come to you as patients, as friends, as other, right? What are some of the most critical points that you see that tell you they're disconnected? Because look, as you said, right, up until 7 years ago, you know, you were probably living a life that you thought was a life of success, right? High-flying job, sexual guy, looking good, right? People treating you in that way that they feel that you are attractive, right? So you have all these things happening. You have a great job, as I mentioned before. So for most people, that looks like a guy in his power. But what you're saying is the opposite is true. So maybe for people, maybe here, maybe watching, you know, what are the markers for you that indicate a person, a guy, a man, maybe a woman as well, who are disconnected from themselves? What would say some of those markers would be?
Although many of them have reached that place where they thought they'll be happy, they face their bigger depression. Because they thought that was happiness, success, and they reached there and they're more sad than when they started. It's very painful to have a beautiful marriage, to have a good job, to have kids, and not being able to love your wife. Be hooked to pornography. Be hooked to the antidepressants. Be hooked to masturbation. Have all these sort of addictions when you are a man, apparently, that has everything together, and everyone is looking at you also, or you are like this example. That's very painful, because also that is the fake self that you had to build to be recognized, to be seen, to be accepted by a society that's how you're supposed to be. But behind that is a wounded boy that has been abused, or that has been shamed, or that has been bullied. And that I feel that also that's where the main wound for all men. Since we're little, we are ashamed from us being as sexual beings and our sexuality and our genitals, either through abuse or either through just dogma, religion, or the lack of education in your family. At least me, no one taught me and told me that my penis was natural and that I had to love it, and that it's natural that I'll be erected at some point, and then I will have an ejaculation at some point, and that actually that was the source of my identity and my power. And the more that I love this part of me, the more I'll be connected with myself. No one taught me that. Instead of that, I grew up in a very distorted, unconscious masculinity, Latino, Colombian, machista, drinking, all of these things. So no one taught me that, and I was exposed to distort sexuality around me, and that was where my disconnection was built. And a shame, because I had to learn from pornography. At the end, if they don't teach you at home and they tell you that that is not good and that you have to be ashamed of it and that it's not from God and it's bad and cover that and what are you doing and that's wrong, that completely disconnects you from your power. And then your life force energy and your vitality, there's a breach completely. So that's the wound for me. And well, you were asking me a question and I make a big circle, but at the end, that's it. Like the main wound is the disconnection, that what disconnected us, the guilt and the shame of being ourselves.
Oh, powerful. Now, I just want to double check. Can everybody hear over here as well? Can you hear? Yeah? Beautiful. So, Brother Tiaga, thank you. We're going to come back to you, obviously. So, Sister Carol, so the people here who don't know you are saying, all right, so we're talking about men and we have a wonderful lady here. What's that about? So, just by way to fill in some blanks that other people might be having. So, what brought you to working with men, and what kind of work is it that or how do you help support men? What would you say to that question?
So, Guzman?
Yeah. A bit higher. Yeah.
What brought me to working with men is being hurt by men. I think we always teach what it is that we need to learn the most. So being hurt by a father who was not at all able to express any of his love, being raised in the company, I would say, of a brother with whom I couldn't connect, and a brother who was sexually molested. At the same time as I was sexually molested, so the two of us were the victim of the same abuser, and that separated us massively. And having my heart broken by 4 men. And when there is so much pain that you hold around the masculine, you have 2 choices. Either you decide to hate men and you go out for a vengeance, and there are very different ways that you can do that. You can decide that you just don't want to have anything to do with men, or you can decide that you have to be this uber independent first wave, second wave of feminism to prove the world that you can do everything without men. And I've lost the thread of what I was saying.
Oh, the thread is always there. Just find your way.
But it's the emotions, and it's the necessity to heal and to actually accept that we're all made of stories, and stories are filled with emotions. And that if we, as Tiago said, that if we are in a situation where we reject these emotions, where we are unable to label these emotions, where we are unable to share them in a way that feels safe for everyone that's around us, we create a situation where there is so much internalization, and even as a woman you can cry and you can cry and you can cry and you can cry all you want to cry, but in the end this anger, it still stays inside of you. So as a storyteller, as a story healer, I decided to transform men into my muses and to get inspiration from men, because I think that this is one of the ways that women can really understand what it means to love men. It is to listen to them, to understand them, and to be there to hold them and to guide them. we often speak about, leadership in a masculine context, but I think that there is leadership in the feminine around the emotional guidance of men. And I also find that, there are so many women who talk to women. There are so many men who talk to men. But there are not that many women who actually talk to men. And now that I am on the other side of 50, I can show up as Mama Carol, and I can share my motherly energy with all these young men out there. Because, when there is a stage in your life when it becomes about legacy, and it becomes about what kind of situation do I want to leave behind me. I wasn't born in a world that was so polarized around the masculine and the feminine. I never grew up hearing so much hatred in the language between men and women. That is definitely not my story. And yet, what it is that I'm observing at the moment is absolutely incredible, and I cannot leave the world like that. I have to do something. So when we were talking about vitality, when we were talking about this fire that, burns under your bum or under your derrière, the vitality has a lot to do with the way that you want to penetrate life for men. This is all about penetration. So you can penetrate life from a completely unconscious manner, or you can penetrate life with intention. And for me, this is what vitality for men is. It's a decision around or on how do I penetrate life.
Sister, beautiful. Ooh. Yeah, thank you very much. I have so many questions, but we do have takeaways, and we have an audience as well with questions. So maybe the last question from me at this point, before we go into maybe the takeaways, is that I think that people here understand that as human beings, we have masculine, we have feminine energies within us, right? And perhaps we understand that when there's perhaps too much masculine, a result will happen. Maybe if there's too much feminine, a result will happen. Then maybe we understand that at certain periods of time, it's important to bring forward the feminine. At certain periods of time, it's important to bring forward the masculine. So the question I have to both of you, and as the microphone is so neatly placed in your hand, I'll ask you first, Sister Carol, is, what have you observed, with your experience with men so far, of this interplay between the masculine and the feminine within men? And if there's one or two things, because I know it can be a very long question, if there are one or two things that you could share that might give some kind of light to men about how to use these forces within them, that would be great as well.
So I think the biggest struggle is to know when to shift from one to another. And honestly, I think that women suffer from that issue as much as men, yes? But it's also for men accepting the fact that they have this energy that is within them. And a lot of it has to do and is found in play and in creativity. And I find that so many men are so focused on building a business, on working, that they forget what it feels like to be a 5-year-old that doesn't really care about what anyone thinks of them. I am yet to see a 30-year-old or even a 20-year-old build sandcastles on the beach. That is play. And I'm yet to see a 20-year-old man with a 20-year-old woman, building sandcastles together. Yes, they are too busy creating reels on Instagram. So we're not touching Yes. So we are also not sensing the feminine. We're not sensing the masculine. We're not touching noble textures. Yes. We are not appreciating the food that we are putting down our throats. Yes. We do not understand how we connect our senses, our emotions, our ability to be creative with our environment and also with other people. So we don't create play for ourselves, but we also don't create play for others. And I love what you said around this concept of pleasure. Yes, because through pleasure, it's one of the definitions that you could have for being in service to others. It is pleasurable to be kind to others. It is pleasurable to understand what other people want and to be there in the holding of others. So this ability to come with curiosity, with adventure, I find that this is the feminine energy where you just give, and you're not there to tick the boxes, or to have some kind of argument, or you have your list of KPI on, is this person the right person for me, but it is really about, hey, who are you? How can we play together? And men are great players, so I think that if they played more, they'd be much more in touch with their feminine. That would be the one thing that I would say, just go and play with other people.
Thank you, Sister Carol. Appreciate you, my darling. So, Tiaga, there's two things I'm going to do. One is that question. Second thing, can you move your chair a little bit facing the audience? Now, this is my error, because as much as I like you facing me, I want you to face them, right? So the question, if you remember it, feel free to answer it.
I'd like to share for me what actually kept my feminine shut down for 30 years, because that's the real wound. Self-worth, being silenced, being afraid to express yourself. So then a mask is created where I am strong, I am arrogant, because I protect myself. Because if I'm soft, you're gonna come and bully me. So coming from 10 years of bullying in school, of 1,000 kids bullying me, without knowing, I created that first mask. And for many years then, I was that arrogant man that I'd rather not talk to because he think he's too much. Oh yeah, whatever, that guy, I don't know who he think he is. But that was my mechanism of protection, because if I am vulnerable and my feminine speaks, I'll be bullied, I'll be rejected, I'll be abandoned. So it's quite hard. And it's a very strong protection to bring down. And that's been basically my journey of healing in the past 7 years, of tearing down all those walls and all those locks that was protecting my heart and my inner child, and making peace with the part of me that was my shadow and very unconscious, who was acting by me. And thanking him for being in service all these years of protecting my inner girl or my inner boy and my softness and my creativity, but telling him now he can be free. And that only came after I built the presence within and the healthy masculinity within for my inner feminine to feel safe to come out. So it's been a work, and it's been intention and discipline. And my past years in Bali, I've been basically in a beautiful solo journey, year after year, of doing my practice, doing my sadhana, and facing my shadows. And not even in community, dancing in static dance and Ubud, no. In the middle of nowhere in the island. With the fire, with the water, with the practice, with the breath. Transmuting the same energy that I was leaking and kept me disempowered. And that's where I'd like to bring it up, because, and we will bring it there, but we hold the medicine. And sexual energy is our medicine. And that was the medicine that I was leaking for 35 years. And what healed me here in Bali was two things. Or the journey of healing, because it's never ending. The love of Bali holding me as I was coming back to myself. And the medicine of my sexual energy, transmuting and alchemizing and bringing light and fire into all the stories and the limited beliefs and the shames and the guilts and the bully and everything that was locking my inner girl. And during those 7 years of warrior journey, I built up the presence and the healthy masculine. For recently, my inner boy or my inner girl, my softness, feels safe to come out in my body. And now me being authentic and moving from there. And this is the real love story. And this is what vitality and tantra is. Yeah.
You know, brother, thank you. I know you want to comment, but just give me a sec. So there's a real problem facing men now more than ever, right? Vitality, pornography. Let's just go straight to it, right? So, you know, toxic masculinity, a word that's thrown around a lot. But if there's something that maybe men watching this, either here in person or online, can walk away with, how do you handle someone who is addicted to pornography or interest around that? Well, let me do it like this, 2 parts. Number one, the vitality that they're losing. No judgment here, right? Number one. And number two, how can they begin to mend, I'm guessing, to mend that part within themselves to then take them on the route to healthy masculinity? What would you say?
So the two main things that my teachings and my own journey was around, it's funny because it's the main wound, so it's where the energy leaks. And actually you start from there. So you start coming back to your genitals with love. And look at your genitals. Many men have even really face to face their genitals. Like, hi, what's up? I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. I thank you. So, because the power of love in our genitals, it starts transmuting the shame and the guilt that we carry of who we really are. So just a Ho'oponopono on your genitals will open the door back to your heart. And then cultivation of the energy. This is your life force energy. And I will say awareness, because this is not about repression. If you think that semen retention, sexual cultivation, it's about forgetting that you have genitals and that you ejaculate and that you have semen, you are repressing yourself and you are being even far more disconnected. But it's basically, I ignored this part of myself for many years. I carry so many stories of this is not good, this is shameful, this is guilt. My mother told me, the church told me, spirituality told me, I have to do this behind the scenes. I'm not able to express myself. So it's like coming back and being, yes, let me just heal the relationship with this part of me. It's like if you have a toxic relationship with the love of your life and you are going to put your heart up to like make peace and love and come back to union. So that's how you come back to your sexual energy, aka genitals. And you start doing that work. And in the beginning, it's going to be numb because you ignore it for decades. But the energy will respond the more you put love into it. And the more you give awareness into it. And then we have the technology, and that's what my technology was, which is Tantra and Kundalini and breathwork, Kundalini Tantra, which teaches through the body and the breath and breath of fire to start igniting the fire within. So also the practice of semen retention or sexual cultivation It's not about retaining your semen, which is going to give you vitality, because after 2 weeks you're going to have your balls blue and it's going to hurt you, and then you're going to go nuts, and then you're going to ejaculate again. What you focus on and what really is going to support you is transmuting that energy and transmutation process. And the transmutation is, I'm cultivating this energy, which is life force energy, which is vitality, which is my fire, and bring it up through my spine and my centers, and start reigniting my confidence, my power, opening my heart, speaking my truth, opening my intuition through solar plexus, chakras, spine, energy. And it's not woo-woo spirituality. No, it's real. And that is actually the biohacking within. You are the engine. You have the medicine. There is a technology. You cultivate your energy. You learn the gears and the technology, and you start reigniting yourself. And you'll be a sovereign man. Because as long as you're disconnected from your energy and you don't know who you are controlled. You are disempowered, and that's why you're losing your energy in everything that they are putting to us, because they want you disempowered. Actually, it's not even your fault. They want you sick. They want you disempowered. They want you throwing your medicine, because then I can do with you whatever you want. So when you when you start this journey, you really start reclaiming your sovereignty, and then you get out of the Hunger Games and you reclaim your power, and you won't be manipulated anymore. You're out of the games. And this is all technology, and we are also in this era of technology, and you must learn today how to tap into your inner technology and how to tap into your real antenna. Because if you keep moving away, completely disconnected, completely disempowered, you're like a phone that I can just tap into your Bluetooth and completely manipulate you.
So, Carol, I'm going to do this, then we're going to go back to these takeaways.
Yeah.
Ho'oponopono. Repeat that again, because I think that is the first step.
Yeah.
Right? The people watching this can take away today, now. So if you can repeat that step.
And that's my first and most important practice for all men and women. And I have a lot of women writing me like, whoa, I listened to your episode, I did this, and it's been so transformative. And it's just take 10, 15 minutes of practice, and embodiment is just coming into yourself. Really just like when you do your yoga practice, you put some time, you put some energy, you light your little candle, you turn on whatever, you really set up the space, and you give yourself 15 minutes. And you bring your hands to your genitals and this part of you that is numb, that is disconnected, and probably just you have never really come to yourself in that way. Because we also treat our dicks like bubble gums now. We just like... So you just come with a lot of love and just place your hands there, and you're not looking for an erection. You're not looking for anything. You're just looking... You're with the intention to send love to this part of yourself. And our arms are the extensions of the heart. And just bring in there your hands. And when you feel connected and breathing, just there. And you really mean it from your heart. Just repeat the mantra, Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. I thank you. That's the most powerful medicine, love. And you start loving yourself. And that starts igniting your vitality. That's the first part.
My brother, that's it. Yeah. Thank you very, very much indeed. Now, we have some takeaways here that we're going to go to, but you want to interject with something, so please feel free. And we'll go to it.
I just wanted to add a few things, because this thing about shame is so important, and we don't tend to speak about shame when it comes to men. And I know that one of the things that really broke my heart was to see how my brother struggled with shame. And there was always something in my head thinking, I was molested by a man, but he was molested by a man. And there was always this thing about how, in a way, much more shameful it must have been to be molested by someone who looks exactly like you and who is supposed to be a representation of someone that you are supposed to become. And I find that it's very, very hard to find men who have the courage to embrace the shame and to express that shame. And very, very often that shame gets mistaken for anger. And the biggest issue that men have with emotions is the fact that they can't really label their emotions. They're very emotional beings. But when it comes to identifying what the reaction of the body means and what emotion it is, whether it is sadness, whether it is disappointment, whether it is shame, whether it is grief, there is a lot of issue, a lot of problems understanding actually that there are so many emotions. Yeah, there are about 90 different emotions. And when you don't know how to express those emotions, you are in a place where you don't have a voice, and you only have reaction. Yes. So shame is really something it's part of everyone. I definitely carry a lot of shame around what happened to me. But as a woman, I also carry a lot of shame around not being the sister that I would have loved to be for my brother, not having been able to heal him. So the shame is shared. And when you were talking about toxic masculinity, I hate labels with a vengeance. So I prefer to look at shared pain and shared trauma than toxic masculinity, because where there is toxic masculinity, there definitely is a man who hurts.
Beautiful. So, time for questions is upon us. So, in a couple of minutes, maybe, because I know that now there's quite a lot of information that has been shared, powerful information at that. So in a few minutes, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. Remember, there's two parts of this. So one part is that if you have a question, you will be on camera. So just keep that in mind. If you have, or you're not comfortable with being on camera, then after the show is over, I'm sure there'll be an opportunity to ask some deeper questions, right? So you might be in three places. One is that, hey, I have a definite question I want to ask. So raise your hand, ask your question. Number two might be, I'm not sure if I can answer this question, right? There's no silly question here, as you can see. And you'll be honoring not only yourself, but someone else in the room today who probably has the same question, but perhaps doesn't have the courage to ask it. So it's not just about you. There's a collective energy that we have in this room, in this episode, between all of us. We're all connected. We always have been, right? So just think about that. And the last place you might be is that I definitely don't want to ask a question. So that one you might want to leave until last, but the chances are it will be answered as we go anyway. So interestingly enough, which is what happens, right? All these key takeaways have been done, except what does Bali have to offer male health? But we'll save that until last. So I just want to check one thing, check in with the room. So this one is to the men, right? So in what Tiaga shared and what Carol shared, does any of that resonate with you? Just raise your hand, right? Okay, thank you. Now, when it comes to the women in the room, perhaps there's something that you realized, or something that maybe within your own relationship that you kind of knew but weren't able to put your finger on it, have gotten some kind of guidance as to what that may be. Raise your hand. Yeah? Okay, great. Thank you. So Now your hands work. This is good. Your arms actually work. You can raise them. Though there was one lady who didn't put her hand up for anything, but we won't pinpoint her for now. So if you do have any question, please raise your hand. Yeah, over here. So Brother Guzman will start here. So with questions, remember, feel free if you want to say what it is that you do. You can even mention your business if you want. That's completely fine. But then please go straight to your question, because then it gives us an opportunity to go through more questions to share more value. Thank you for being first. Remember the microphone close to your mouth.
My question is to you. Is there something that us women can do to support men's vitality and healthy masculine energy? Something that we can do on a daily basis?
I think just by knowing that he doesn't need any fixing, and that just by holding space and understanding that there is a lot that he's going through, and just being there, being seen, being supported, being loved, not thinking that you need to fix him, that you need to do something for him, but just holding space and being that beautiful partner really allow the man to feel safe, and then to share from his heart, because he will only share when he feels safe, and when he can feel that you can help him also in his vulnerability. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What a beautiful question. So behind you, thank you for starting us off, Savina. See, I remembered.
I wanted to ask a question. I think there was this one time they said like women like live longer because we have like, you know, female friendships that where we can like communicate with one another and like express our feelings. And I think a lot of the times it's harder for men to have that. What solution do you have for like men to be able to like, because of course anyone in general needs to communicate how they feel inside, or not it's just too much, you know? What's a solution that men can have to like kind of in a sense let it out and not have to hold everything together all the time?
Brotherhood, you know, like it's also just been so supported for me to find men, and it just was so healing when I sit in a circle of men, and regardless the sexual preference, we all had the same wound, we all had the same leak, we were all in pain, and being able to be among other brothers and feeling that you're not the only one, it's already big healing. So thankfully somehow more and more, and is why I do this work, and all of us actually here, and you also help masterminds and everything, is there's help out there, and don't be ashamed to speak your truth. And if you are with your family, with your wife, in your circle, there's groups, there's men groups there that you can just go on and just let it all out there. Yeah.
You know, there's you want a question, Diana? Put your hand up if you like. There's so I think it was last week's show, from memory. There's a beautiful way of uniting communities together of those that have very different ideologies or ways of seeing the world, right? And it was a 3-step process which I fell upon, tripped upon, whatever. Number one was seeing each other, right? So physically, that's also why I asked Tiaga to move, because I could see him and I enjoyed seeing him. There's a beautiful energy to him, but I'm like, you know what? It is for them, it's not for me, right? So please move your chair. So just through seeing someone, all of those non-verbal cues and nuances that the brain can't necessarily, no, the brain understands, the soul gets, the gut understands, but it's difficult to put into words, you get in a heartbeat, is one. So seeing each other is very powerful. Then the next thing is learning about each other, you know, and learning about each other. As I said before, I haven't met my brother Tiaga before he sat down or before he came in tonight. And I actually love that. I love through the process of a talk show, getting to know someone and seeing and feeling who their soul really is, right? Now, Sister Carol, I've had that pleasure many times before, and I appreciate this time again. So learning about each other really allows you to kind of go deep and see a reflection of yourself in them. And then where that comes onto again is empathy. It's working together. I'll get to you in a second. So once you see each other, learn about each other, there'll be those amongst us that will then work together. What is mapped onto that are three things. Number one is curiosity. What is it that makes Tiaga, Sister Carol, what is it that makes them them? Then number two is humility, this understanding of what happened to my brother, my sister when they were younger. If that same thing had happened to me, I would probably feel the same way, if not further in. So now we have a sense of connectedness. And then the third thing is empathy. So empathy, as a result of curiosity, humility, empathy then comes, which then allows me to hear that person and to truly be in a space with them, which is healing in itself. Because as you mentioned, right, great questions, both of you, of how can you support men? How can we support each other is by truly listening. Listen to interrupt, listen pretending to listen and multitasking, listening actively to what you're saying and what you're not saying, and then listening with your soul. Fourth kind of listening. I love threes, but there's a fourth, right? So by mapping those onto each other, so again, seeing each other is curiosity. Next one is learning about each other is humility. And then the third thing is working together is empathy. And those things mapped onto each other brings true power, significance to everyone in the room and everyone who is connected to that conversation. Sister Carol.
So before coming tonight, I wanted to, because I'm a poet, I wanted to select a few lines about humility. My definition of humility is to not know the answer. And I found this beautiful poem by a few lines by D.H. Lawrence. You tell me I am not humble, but what is humility if not the death of the false self? It is the presence of the soul that will not stoop to be less than life. And we're talking about vitality, and the one thing that we also, in order to see people, in order to hear people, in order to be curious, that also needs to be done inward. And a lot of what we call, of the toxic masculine behavior comes from a lack of direction, a lack of vision, a lack of fire, a lack of intention, an inability to articulate in 3 words how, as a man, I want to show up in the world, how I want to be remembered, a lack of accountability to one's behavior. Because when you think, in the long term, are you behaving as a man who is going to be remembered for continuously behaving in that way? Or are you thinking, how do I want my children, if one day I have kids, to remember me? And these are choices, that we make. And at some point, one has to make that choice, that one wants to make some changes in one's life, and that it will require letting go of absolutely every answer that you think is right. And that's when you connect with your intuition, and you connect with your vision, you connect with what is it that I'm supposed to actually do with my life. And this concept of service, we're talking about brotherhood. But to go into brotherhood, to only take from brotherhood, doesn't create brotherhood. To create brotherhood, you need to give and you need to take. Yes? It's a external, internal, eternal flow of connection and energy. So...
Canguru moment.
It is an ability to recognize that there are things that need to change, and that in order to change, you need to realize, you need to understand what is your soul made of. What is just, what is the life that is associated to your soul? What gift have you been given? Because you do have gifts. But many men forget that they have gifts outside of going to work and making money. There is the gift of loving, as you said. There is no more beautiful gift than loving yourself, but also loving others and being in service to others. It gives meaning to your life, and that lack of meaning is the biggest disease that I can think of. Just that lack of meaning, because there is no energy in someone who doesn't have meaning.
Tiaga, I know you want to hop in, and you will. Diane, remember your question. We're coming to you. Tiaga, the question after you respond, I want to ask you is men's guiding system when marriage happens. What changes, if anything, between a single life and that of a married life? And what maybe one or two things have you noticed can change? And maybe one gift in there that can help married men find their, again. And Brother Deddy, I'm coming to you afterwards with Paduli and what you're doing there, because that's very important. Over to you, my brother.
I love that you said the meaning and the pain of not having the meaning, it's purpose. And I just wanted to hop in and say, and you said you forget your meaning, and we disconnect from ourselves, so we forget who we really are. And in the path of coming back to ourselves, and we reclaim ourselves, and with that vitality and health, we remember who we are, because we have always been purpose. You don't find purpose. You are purpose. And many men are looking for purpose. And the purpose is to find themselves, because once they find themselves, the purpose will be revealed.
I also find that purpose can be given to you. It can be gifted to you by other people. Yes? Definitely. My purpose right now was given to me by my ex-partner. I one day decided to write a short story for him as a birthday present, and that was as far as it was going. And then a couple years later, I read that story to a couple of friends, and they said, "Hey, we would like you to write a book about that story. This is more than a story." And that was on a Sunday afternoon. On the Monday morning, I was at my laptop, and for 3 years, every day, for 8 hours, I wrote that book. So, purpose comes in so many different versions, in so many ways, and we tend to think that everything happens just in one manner, we're given, this is the one way to do it, this is the one way to access something, but everyone is different. So you find it in yourself. Sometimes it's gifted to you, sometimes it comes in a bundle of pain, and sometimes it comes in a bundle of joy, but your job is to just embrace it. Yes,
Mama
embrace
Carol.
It fearlessly.
Mama Carol, sister, Mama Diane, you have a question. Thank you, Carol.
Firstly, I'd really like to say thank you to both of you. It's been extraordinary actually sitting here and connecting with you at so many different levels. Can resonate on so many different. I can resonate on so many different angles. So really respectful, and thank you. My question kind of got answered in between, so again, that's great. But I still have a burning question where part of my background is in coaching and supporting women, so I could relate there. However, a couple of men in particular that are dear to me, I am seeing them at their brink. And it kills me to know I am not there to fix them. I get that. I understood what you said, Rob, about the curiosity, etc. And having that level of awareness, I know what I've brought. Particularly for yourself, is there something that I'm missing that potentially I could say or could guide them to connect with another male? Because I can tell you they are completely disconnected, emotionless, literally on the brink. But if I was to say, hey, look, check out this talk or something like that, I get shut down immediately because of what I do supposedly know, and it's like, you're going to fix me. Yet I am coming from that soulful level and it's being washed away. So is there a particular way that I could say, hey, how they could reach out, because it's not coming across, and I can say it's very, very detrimental.
Yes, I very much understand that, and I see it also from clients and from their families, and actually a lot of wives. Me having an Instagram for men and speaking to men, majority of messages is, please talk to my husband. Please write him. Even trying to like create a situation that I appear in their lives. But I'm touched because I know how hurtful it is to seeing your loved one in being such much pain and not being able to do something. And the truth is that only when he decides to, he will do it, because he's the only one that can do the work. He is the only one that will attend to the call, and will be the one who says, I'm ready because I reached the limit. And then I'll guide him, but even in my call, I'm like, from 1 to 10, how much are you ready? 8. Oh, you have 2 more years or days or whatever of shit. Because only when you're 10 out of 10 is when you're committed, because the only person here to do the work is you. But I'm here to love you and support you and guide you. But we're going to climb that mountain, and I'm not going to carry you, but I'm going to empower you. But you have to be ready to go for it, But the times that I've been more supported has been the times that I've been seen from my friends and family or whoever is in my circle that just loves me and empowers me. And although I'm freaking out, or maybe I'm on my mask and I'm in my anger, and that person can see through the veil that actually I'm panicking and I am breaking down inside, and that person can just really see it and look at me in the eyes and tell me, hey, you don't need to perform, just let me hold you, just and it's just at the armoring moment where I have just totally drop it all and receive. And that goes back to your question also, just really the power of love unconditionally.
The thing that I find easy to do, because I'll blame that on being French, is not being afraid of touching men, and not being afraid of kissing them on the cheeks and of holding their face in my hands. And
she's done it to me. She did it last week. It was awkward. It was so long. I'm like, Carol, 1 little peck is okay, but not for 10 minutes.
And of holding men, because that's the softness, that we were talking about. And when you bring softness to someone who is used to be always in his hardness, you soften. And it's just, and you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. But the men that I meet, even when I do not know them, the handshake is not in my. It's not in. It really is not in my world. Okay, if they give me their hand, I pull them in, and I'm like, I'm French, and I kiss. But there is a way of kissing, and there is a way of seeing, and there is a way of looking, which really comes from your heart. Yes, and that is, I think, where everything makes a difference. So, what energy do you put into the loving and into the holding of every single man? And I really mean every single man whom you meet. Not only the chosen one, but just anyone. Because every man deserves to be seen. And let's not forget that there is no honoring of the woman without the honoring of the man. I meet many goddesses, who are all about, hey, the feminine. There is no honoring of the feminine without the honoring of the masculine. It's just, there isn't.
A question, my brother.
Actually, I wanted to follow on from that question with a response, because the answers that have been given are very good when someone is experiencing a low and they're lost in the depths of sadness or anger, and being able to hold that space and have them communicate is really powerful for that. But something that stood out for me in your question was that when you're stood at the brink and there is an emotional disconnect, so they're not necessarily feeling sadness or anger, it's a numbness. And a little trick that worked with me when I was going through something like that is, like Mama Carol said, you can gift purpose. So when I was in a spot where I felt I was just going through the motions, like going through the day-to-day, wasn't really thinking about whether things were good or bad, they just were. I had someone come to me and ask for help. They asked me for help. They recognized a strength that I had and said, Phil, you're really good at this. Could you help me with this thing? And I didn't realize it was happening at the time, but in hindsight, I reflected on it and realized that period of time that I was helping them, it took that spotlight that was once shining on me and focusing on me and what I was going through, and it turned it around onto someone else, and it gave me a brief moment of respite to catch my breath and see what was happening within me from the outside. And then I was able to get the awareness to then make a decision to do something about it. But had I not been gifted that moment by focusing on someone else, then I would have just continued in my own cycle.
Thank you, my brother. Renee, had a question? Yeah. So we're going to go. I know you wanted to respond, Carol, but we're going to keep you going. Otherwise, they're going to be here for a while.
You earlier spoke about weak penetration of masculine energy. I find that men with a lack of that energy is because they are not as deeply connected to purpose, and therefore tend to have that wounded masculine energy. My question is, do you believe that men had more masculinity in the past, and has that been impacted by the modern world and feminism? And how do you see the evolution of men and women in the future?
She can't wait to answer this one.
How old do you think I am?
You said over 50. You actually said that earlier on, just so you know.
I think that it's much easier to get disconnected now than it was before. So I can't tell you if there was more, and I've been thinking a lot about this, because it's true that we look at the past, and I look at my parents and at my grandparents, and they had very simple, purposes, which is, I have my family. I don't know that all these men were that happy in what they were doing. Yes, so I can't qualify the happiness and their level of contentment that they felt. But what I can look at is what is happening now, and the disconnection and the externalization of finding meaning into Netflix, into porn, into everything is externalized, but it's not internalized. So I think it's very, very hard to decide to disconnect. I made decisions in my life where there are things that I am solely disconnected from, because I need to have my energy to create the things that I need to create, because these are the things that are in alignment with my vision, my purpose, and my meaning. And I find that the more focused you are on what it is that you're supposed to do, the bigger the impact. So it's the accountability to yourself to be who you are.
Brother Tiaga, thank you, Sister Carol, Mama Carol.
Yes, I definitely feel that today it's like a war against our testosterone, and more men are disconnected from their masculinity. And we need to protect our testosterone, and it comes from the way that is being harmed. Also is the way we eat, also the oxygen, also like a lot of things that is just affecting our vitality. But the number one is the unconscious ejaculation, because that's the main source of testosterone. And then there's supplements and zinc and a lot of good things, and definitely just having a very healthy life. Like, listen, the body is the engine, is the transformer, and it has the capacity of healing, and you have the medicine. Our focus is just to give the right conditions for it to do transmutation. So if I'm smoking, if I'm browsing until 3 a.m, if I'm ejaculating every day on porn, if I drink 20 coffees, if I'm in the computer working and being stressed, burning out myself for 10 hours, if I'm not present on my body, if I don't breathe well, if I don't walk, if my pains are hurting, if I have all of this, you're not giving the conditions to your engine to do the work. And that's why what Bali brings to men's vitality, an island that you connect with nature more than any gyms in every corner, and biohacking and cold plunge and ozone and all of that, which are supplements. Bali gives the medicine to come back to yourself as you attune in harmony with the elements, and you stop running from life, and you start breathing again, and you start walking barefoot, and you start seeing the sunrise and the night, and just she'll do it for you. You just slowly starts coming back, starts your healing journey, and actually that's why she calls you. But in that moment, you come back into harmony that then allow your engine to do the biohacking, and you heal yourself.
Allow me to be poetic and to build onto what you just said. So we come here to connect with nature, but we forget that by connecting with nature, we actually connect to the nature of who we are, yes? And that it is our job to plow the fields of who we are. So this thing is like a territory that you have to water, that you have to cultivate, where you have seeds and you grow them. So you cannot just look at nature. Nature is not something to look at. You're not spectating it, yes? You are touching it, you are feeling it, you are eating it. And you don't find it at Festive, okay, or Pepito, yes, just to be clear. But nor do you find it in taking your mobile phone and taking reels or videos of rice paddies, yes. The nature is when you start to feed yourself with what Bali is giving you. And you have such an amazing opportunity here to look after your health at a cost that is so much more affordable than it is anywhere else. But again, it is the choices that you make, and it is that courage. You know, I work with men on emotional courage, because courage is the one thing that you need today in a world that actually is designed to take, as you said, every single decision for you. So the courage to stand up for yourself is the hardest thing that you can harness.
All right. Thank you, Mama Carol. I'm torn between Sister Carol and Mama Carol. You're both to me. But you know this already, my darling. You are both to both of us. So I want some questions from over here, right? 'Cause all we've done is have, which is beautiful. I appreciate it. But I really want some. So, brother, okay. So now we've got one more question here from Savina. Brother Daddy, I want you to speak about Peduli. It's going to be on next week's show. But from the filter of a man who is married, a man who has work, a man who has challenges, a man who has stress, a man who has a purpose, right? So, but before that, I want my brother over here to speak a little bit about men in marriage and what happens and how a man can reconnect within the framework of family and so on. That will come after your question to one person, please. Yeah.
My question is to you again. It's a burning question I forgot to ask. Earlier you mentioned about the little girl inside of you. And I heard before about, like, I think we all did, about our inner child. But would you be able to elaborate more on the little girl, please? Sounds really interesting.
Yeah, well, yeah, I realized was that little girl because it's that soft and that feminine side of me, which is authentic, which is, I think, honestly, for me, is not separate to my inner child. But is when I allow my feminine side to come authentic, when I allow just to speak freely and express my desire, my needs, express my softness. I'm afraid, like whatever is coming out from that really soft and real and vulnerable side, and that was shut down for many years. And she was no little when she came out. Finally, she was raging when finally like was able to like she actually was. It's a story, but the healing of the feminine in the first stages comes out as just raging and screaming because she's been shut down for decades, and that's how I experience it, fully insane, quite crazy. To then be really soft, for then it really to just be really soft and vulnerable and allow that part of me to take now the throne, actually, because I also feel today, and what my journey has been healing my masculine, which is not anymore operating unconsciously. So then it's safe for my soft side to come out, and that union of both that brings myself into wholeness and authenticity, and then from that space of really being me, everything opens up. Struggles, these are like the battling for living that was my choice, it's gone. And then I think that's also like when we say that is more easy, or you just magnetize or just attract, or it's like it's because you stop forcing or pushing or battling, and you are just yourself, and that's way more rewarding. Yeah.
Love it. Now, if you could pass the microphone over to Daddy. And for you, my brother, the question is, so have you noticed anything, men in marriage with children? And what is it that you, one or two things, and then if that is the case of where I think it's going, what are, and it may be repeating what you've just said, but what are ways for men in that scenario to return back to source, to empower the relationship?
I think the moment that the relationship for sure starts like pointing into that is not working within him and creating the whole drama, and that is then some take then the opportunity to really want to fix it, and that brings them into coming back to themselves and seeing what's wrong, and that just open up so many different wounds of childhood, of feeling abandoned, of being rejected, of not being worth, of having to prove themselves. And the only way that, the way that they start coming out of it is just really dropping into vulnerability and start to showing up themselves fully to their partner. At least that's mainly what I have seen, not only working, that I don't specialize in relationships, but with the men that bring the case sometimes, or mainly also in the brotherhood, in the masterminds and the groups that I'm actually part of, not as leader, but I heard them sharing, and it's that inner struggle of like boundaries and boundaries for their needs and supporting and expressing, but again comes of they really start expressing their needs, expressing that softness and expressing really what their heart wants.
Now, Sister Carol, 1 second.
Yeah.
So you mentioned before about men's groups, and we haven't touched upon it yet. So I think many people here, maybe the ones watching, it's not talking really about what a men's group is, because I think people know what it is. But the question which is coming up is, if a man is looking to join a men's group, what are 2 or 3 things that you believe are the indicator that he's in the right group? What would they be?
I think that you feel alignment with whoever is leading the group, that you feel resonance, that you feel safe, that you feel, actually maybe that you feel, I don't know if the word is like afraid, but that's a good point of going there. But honestly, it's just that you really feel safe, because a men's group is there to support you in your truth. It's not a competition. It's not a show off. It's not we are all strong and we're doing this. It's not really that mainly. So just if you really see truth behind whatever you read, and the person that is leading, and you feel resonance, and you can really see his heart or the way he speaks, then that's a good spot.
Thank you. Now, Mama Carol, if we go quick now, because we're going to begin to wrap up soon, okay? So you had a point about the relationships, and if you want to point about the men's group, you're welcome.
Yeah, 2 things. The one thing that I see most of my male clients struggle with, who are in a relationship or trying to be in a relationship, is this concept of freedom, where they think that love is the enemy of freedom. And it's very, very hard to understand that actually the relationship should be structured in a way that it gives you freedom to be accomplishing the beautiful meaning that you have at work, but also what it is that you want to create in your relationship. Because the relationship also has a meaning. The relationship is also a vision. It's also something that you want to create with your partner. So it is the biggest thing that I see. This thing about love and freedom, and treating them as enemy rather than actually love as, I would say, a propulsor to freedom. With regard to men's circle, I'm actually working on creating an international network of mamas that are going to look after a group of men, because the feminine is not holding the masculine, yes? And the job of these mamas is going to give men access and connection to men that are going to inspire them, so father figures, male figures, because that's very needed. Connection to women in discussions on relationship, connection to play, and connection to service, connection to higher purpose, connection to actually doing something that is not for yourself,
That was very soft and gentle, by the way.
Something
the feminine part of the light hit me, not the masculine part. That's okay.
Something that is not for yourself, but something that is actually for someone else, which gives me, and it's my pleasure, to actually segue to Daddy, because he is an exceptional man, and he is a man who has been able to find meaning in service while spreading love. So I've known you for a few years now, so go on.
So my brother Daddy, nice segue.
Yeah.
I was interested how you're going to do that. Beautifully done. So, brother Daddy, so next week, Paduli Learning Center, which is an initiative from Daddy, will be on the show. As Carol said, she met Daddy a few years ago. Met Daddy quite some years ago. Beautiful guy. Up to some wonderful things in the world. So what I'd love to hear from you, my brother, is, what inspired you from a man perspective, also from that of a parent, right, to do what you're doing with Paduli, and a little bit more about you and what you'd like to share. A minute or two is super cool. Over to you, brother.
Thank you so much, Brother Rab and Mama Carol. Oh, look at that smile. I just love that beautiful woman there. Brother Tiaga, man, I've really, really resonated with so many things that you said. And then I have this burning question that I want to really ask you maybe after, but this is, man, I can just see the alignment. I can just see the powerful man that you are, the truth. You speak from the heart centered, and I just want to acknowledge you for that, bro. And I was like, man, I need to check this guy out on Instagram. Like, I want to learn about you more, and then just that you gave that, frequency or the vibe from truthfulness. So thank you so much, brother. So go back to Paduli Learning Center. From the perspective of a man, I was helped by Balinese man, very healthy masculine Balinese man. He's in army. He taught me 3 things: English, entrepreneurship, and exercise, like doing push-ups and all that. And then he said something that changed the trajectory of my life, because I was born in a village where there's no electricity. We literally had to fight for basic survival needs such as food and all that, because that's why the army was there, and the war and everything, just long story. And that man changed the trajectory of my life. We talk about healthy, masculine, powerful man. He was there. Look at this boy, 14 years old. It's like, okay, I see this guy. I can see potential in this guy. And he just gave me an idea. Like, okay, this, exercise, do this, follow me. And then 7 years later, when he said, hey, if you want to learn more, go to where I'm from. I have no idea where Bali is. Go to where I'm from. I was like, where? Bali. And then okay. But 7 years later, he planted the seed in my brain. And then 7 years later, came to Bali. Long story short, Bali, love Mama Bali. As soon as I came here, I can just one with it, like just the rawness, the the potent of the energy with it. And long story short, I ended up in Perth, Australia for 7 years. I was domesticated in a beautiful way with people from Australia, taught me English, taught me about entrepreneurship, business and all that. Go into personal development journey and come back. I started with 3 kids only in our garage with my beautiful wife, with 3 kids. And then we ended up to 20 kids, and we couldn't fit them in anymore in the garage. We teach them English, entrepreneurship, effective communication, social skills, and leadership. And then from the garage, we ended up moving into the backyard with 60 kids. And it was not conducive for learning because we spend most of our time chasing papers. It's a wind, rain, and then we ended up going through wonderful people like Brother Rob, and now Diane, also part of the Paduli, which is I'm so grateful. Thank you so very much. And people, wonderful people, strangers, because Pamade was stranger to me, but strangers just truly cared about people and genuinely from the heart. And they come and they're like, Daddy, let's just build something. And then we built school. Now from 3 kids, now we have 250 kids. And it was like, oh my God. So 250 kids, we have to like build another one. So now Brotherhood, Bali Brotherhood, which is Ryan, the head, the one could say the head, and also Ray, they put something together. They're going to speak on I am creation, to actually spread also Peduli. So we are focusing on building the second Peduli. And I'm so grateful that brother as well. Next week, maybe I can go more deep into it, but that's just a little bit of it. Thank you so much.
My brother, a round of applause. Thank you so much, brother. So as you said as well, I Am Creation Summit, 33 of the world-class speakers on stage. Sanur the Meru, that is 19, 20 and 21 of September. We did a preview for it last week, and yes, I am one of the speakers on stage as well. Looking forward to that. Woo! Mamma mia. So I Am Creation Summit, just go online, you'll find the tickets, everything there. If you want to know more, just come and see me after, and I'll be happy to share with you, but some phenomenal speakers coming in. So my brother, the microphone goes to our brother Marvin over here. So just checking any more questions over here, because we'll probably begin to wrap up soon. Over to you, my brother, nice and close to you, the microphone.
Yeah, I think that now we are in a times that there's like a war of narratives, right? Apart from the real wars that is happening. So, because of these narratives, it comes to my mind what you are saying, Tiaga, about that. Probably because we are in a lack of testosterone. But that's one narrative, and I'm trying to go with you, but there's another narrative that says that because of too much testosterone, that's why Putin are bombing. I don't want to talk about politics, sorry, but I think that's a good example about that, or about that probably the American president has too much testosterone, and that's why there's another narratives that are saying that this constructive, that these men that are trying to deconstruct ourselves are not so men as the other old men that has more. So, especially about, for example, now are raising these men coaches that are exactly in the opposite side, no? And they're getting followers and students. So, what do you guys think about that? Because I think it's a narrative, but same phrase can be interpreted with different narratives, especially if we have world leaders that are trying to improve with their power, with their speech, with their media, like these narratives that is against what we was trying to build like from 5 years till now.
Yep. So thank.
Yeah, I can share from my experience. I understand what you're saying. Fire can warm up a group of people and bring them close, or it can burn them all. And that's the mastery of the fire. And that's also the fire that can warm up everyone here is a heart fire. And the fire that can burn everything down here is the mask fire, is the unembodied dragon. So the path of healing is embodying your dragon. I can burn down all these in a moment, which is my dark masculine, which is if I have to protect my family, which is if I need to turn on my fire as a dragon, it will come out. But my journey has been the mastery of my fire to drop into my heart and keep a fire that is warmth. And I don't burn anymore the people around me, but I bring them close. So the leaders and the people that they're unembodied and they are disconnected from their heart. And that's the issue here, right? And then for many years, I was yet not in my heart, but I was on the way. And I was teaching fire, and I was very strong. because was actually that archetype that I needed it to bring me down from the death of my dark night of the soul. There was no space for joy and happiness. It was 7 years of practice, non-negotiable. That burned the house inside of me to then open my heart. And that archetype of mine now has gone to sleep because I no longer require that army man protecting my softness and waking me up at 4 a.m. to do my work, to get out of my hole. Both fires are needed. It depends where you are.
So this polarization of narrative, as you said, one narrative turned into two extremes. One of Robert's favorite expression is that you can choose to be part of the problem, or you can choose to be part of the solution. So I'm part of the solution because I completely and utterly agree with you, and that's why as a woman I'm working with men to bridge the genders, yes, to bridge that divide. You're talking about testosterones. I think that you forgot to mention one type of testosterones, which is the testosterone that we see increasing in women as well, which is not helping men know and understand where they can actually stand. Yes. So I think the work has to be done with men, but it also has to be done with women, especially when it comes to that, because there is now there is an agenda for women to behave in ways that are not loving, but that are also necessary in order to change the past. So we're in that transition where everything is being messed up. Yes, it's this big mush, this big mixed, and I don't know what's going to happen as a result. I don't know what the explosion is going to give us. But what I know is that when you think that there is a problem, you have to show up to solve it. Speaking about it is not going to help. So when you want to live with integrity, and that's just as a general thing, I do not waste my time talking about things that I cannot change. I only speak about things that I'm involved in changing. That's for me what it means to have integrity, and this is, we're talking about vitality. Vitality and integrity are hand in hand, or finger with fingers.
Maybe I said it and I don't want to repeat myself, but I just want to add just one more thing, which is just brought me back to one of my teachers, and it's like Kundalini and the practice that we were doing. It will give you a lot of power and a lot of fire, but what do you do with that fire? And that was always in every lecture, to the heart, to your dharma, to being the dharmic warrior. Always teaching us how to generate fire and vitality, but the integrity to where are you channeling this, and always from day one was to the heart, because otherwise you build this fire and this fire can burn you out, because spiritual ego, now I have power, now I have vitality, I have fire, I am better than anyone, I have really power, because it gives you power when you have a lot of practice. But if you don't have, that's when you end up in a end block, in a block end. Yeah, that's how you say it.
Yeah, ordinarily I would give you both some closing comments, but I feel like you've just done it. When you said, I don't want to repeat myself, I was like, damn it, I was going to ask you that question to finish with. Fine, we'll go with that. We'll go with that.
Can I add one thing? Yeah. Well,
1 second, Carol, just wait. You'll get a moment. You'll get a moment. Mamma mia, trying to work with Mama Carol has been interesting, but you're my sister, so I love you. So in about 2 minutes time, you will get a moment to close, right? So what I would recommend though is tonight's topic was let's talk about men's vitality and biohacking from the inside. So my question and guidance for you is to answer that within that frame, so we come back to where we started. So if this means that you need to repeat yourself, it is super cool, because we've been through so much tonight and a beautiful journey which I thoroughly enjoyed, and I've listened more than I've spoken, which I'm completely happy with, because I learned so much just listening to people, and I love that. But for everyone here, to kind of bring them back to center, maybe it's, they can leave with one thing, right? So when they walk out the door, even though they're going to network afterwards, they have that one thing they can leave with and try out tonight as they go home. All right, so that's what I urge you. Carol will go first, and Tiaga, you will be second in about 2 or 3 minutes. So I just want to thank, who do I start with? So I think a round of applause for Brother Guzman, please, because again, from around about 3 years ago when Guzman started, we've been going for 5 years or more. It was 3 or 4 people doing what he's doing tonight. One person has replaced 3 or 4. So it's phenomenal what he's doing. One day I'll let you know what he's doing. When I really know, off camera, I'll let you know what he's doing. Thank you very much, everybody, to come tonight. Again, thrilling topic, went deep. Every episode is different. 490, but every one is different, right? And that's the beauty about it. So we have a YouTube library of the last 314, including tonight. If you want to know what that is, Speak Up Monday, just search on YouTube for Speak Up Monday. I think it's Robert Ian Bonnick / Speak Up Monday. Go to the Speak Up Monday library and you'll find the last, hundreds of episodes in there. Phenomenal. When it comes to Health Hub Bali, which is the first Monday of every month, except on November 3rd. November the 3rd is our 500th episode. It won't be for Health Hub Bali, it will be for Speak Up Monday. Outside of that, the first Monday of every month is Health Hub Bali. You asked a few questions before. Just go to that playlist, which is Speak Up Monday Health Hub Bali. The last 44 episodes will be there, and you will get answers to the other questions that you had that were not answered tonight. And anyone here who's interested in the future of Health Hub Bali series, which is phenomenal what we've covered from, I won't go into it now, but literally from A to Z, we've been through it. So please make sure you look at that. Giving and donating and backing and supporting Bali, which supports us, right? So please watch that. What else can I say? I've spoken about I Am Creation Summit, which is extremely powerful, coming up, and that will be in Sanur at the Meru 2021 of September. Also, another client of ours is the AI Commerce event, which again, if you've been watching this, you've seen we did a preview for that as well, which will be on the 16, 17, 18, which will be at Nusa Dua Convention Center. That's all things AI. If you're interested in that, just have a look. Come and see me after. I can explain more to you. And what else? I just want to thank, I think I've done it already, but a round of applause for yourselves for coming here tonight. Really appreciate you being here. And remember, how we started was like this. Everyone has an opportunity on the microphone to speak and to share a little bit about who they are and what brought them here tonight. It was deliberate, it was intentional, because after this closing section now, you have the opportunity, we're going to have a photo together, which is wonderful, a photo together, and then you're going to have a chance to take as long as you want, having a chat to those people that you resonated with, be they here or here in the audience, because again, so much is given for people to show up, take their time to come here in person, and that's one of the beautiful things about it. All right, and I just wonder if there's anything else next week. As you said, Paduli Learning Center Mark II with our brother Deddy. Very powerful episodes, so make sure you show up to find out more about him and about what he is doing. And then finally, for me, as you know, a gateway to Indonesia for business. So if there's anything that you're interested in 10 market sectors, but we focus on 3: real estate, we focus on, I almost forgotten, real estate, technology, and tourism. That's medical, health, thank you, Carol, and wellness tourism, as well as luxury maritime tourism, which is going to be huge. Okay, so the question which I had for you two, ladies first, followed by our brother Tiaga, is, to recap tonight's episode, which again, let's talk men's health, men's vitality, biohacking from the inside. Just maybe a minute or so, just some kind of closing points. If it's reiterating what you said before as a takeaway for people to take with them, that would be wonderful. And then after that, we'll close the show. Ladies first.
So vitality for me, when it comes from the inside, has everything to do with courage to show up as the best version of yourself. Yes? You spoke about the heart, and I don't know if anyone knows the etymology of the word courage, but it actually comes from Old French, and it comes from cœur. And cœur means heart. So the heart is really where everything starts. So one tip for men, which is to understand that they are an accumulation of stories, and that they are an accumulation of emotions, that memories, you can't remember anything from your life unless it's associated to emotions. So your emotions are really your lifeblood. So you need to be able to understand them, to feel them, to articulate them, to share them in a way that feels safe to the other person. Because that is a big problem for men. And to the women, and I absolutely loved what you mentioned, Phil. When there is a man that who is lost but is not on the receiving end of any of the healing that you want to impart on him, make him your superhero. Every man wants to be needed, and every woman needs the help of a man for at least one thing in their life. So as a woman, ask a man for help and give meaning to that man.
I think the most important thing that I want to bring awareness, and that I keep bringing awareness, is life force energy, vitality starts in your balls. So stop leaking your energy. Awareness as a man. We do a lot of biohacking, a lot of gym, we ate steak, we do cold plunge, ozone, and then we go back home and ejaculate. You throw away everything that you did during that day. And then you nap, and then you're tired, and then you are erratic, and then you don't know why, I'm so tired. Try 7 days and you will have 45% more of testosterone from studies. Number 2, it's not about retaining and repressing, it's about transmuting. Breathing. Use actually your gym, your exercise, static dance, yoga, running, whatever practice as a medium to move the energy that you are cultivating in your balls. And yes, men are very emotional because they're disconnected from their source of power, which is their balls. And the disconnection is their trauma and the repressed emotions and the shame and the guilt. That is what is separating you from the heart. So the door is to go back to my genitals, cultivate the vitality to clean, to transmute and purify everything that is separating you from your heart. Because yes, the journey is back to the heart, but it's transmuting everything that is separating you from the heart. And the door starts in your balls. So you have the medicine. You are the transformer. You are the guru. And the ultimate biohacking is transmuting your sexual energy into confidence, trust, power, presence, masculinity. That's it. Thank you.
Round of applause. Health Up Bali. Thank you very much indeed, Trace. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. You.